Merry Christmas, Jesse.
Thank you, sir. Happy Hanukkah.
You're so handsome. I just want to wear your face.
Haven't slept in 3 days.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of The Enthusiast. I am one of your hosts, Will Zabo. Alongside of me, big man, the big cheese, Jesse Nazario.
You can go with Big Wolf on campus because I like that show. Hi, Jesse here.
How's it going, man?
I haven't slept in like 3 days.
I'm sorry.
Today's Christmas, buddy, and it's been
we are dedicated to the show.
Yes.
Even on holidays.
Even on holidays.
We are going to be working.
I have children, and apparently they want stuff. And you have to pretend like, it's from Santa Claus, so you don't even get credit for it. I slept in 3 days so they could have smiles on their face, so some jolly man could get credit for it. But that's cool. Magic exists, right?
Yeah. So.
And if any kids are listening right now, Santa Claus does exist. He does.
And he loves you very much.
He loves you very much. You've been a good boy.
So today I wanted us to tackle one topic really quick before we get all the information from it about it out. The Nintendo Switch.
Everybody's favorite subject lately.
Yes, so I thought we could talk about it one more time before January 12th. That's going to be when Nintendo comes out and says all the information themselves. So I think we really should just dive in and really just talk about everything. Let's start with specs.
I agree. Specs are good.
Apparently in the dock, it's going to run at 1080p, but it's going to run at 1080 medium settings. Whereas the PS4 and Xbox One run on 1080p high.
Correct.
So how do you feel about that?
My opinion, and of course this is my opinion, Nintendo games usually age well, and they're so pretty. They have that cartoonish look. It won't hurt it at all. Some of the third-party support, perhaps. But as for the actual main series games on it, your Zelda, your Marios, I think won't be an issue.
I agree, and going from 1080 high to 1080 medium, it's probably not going to hinder them too much. I think the thing that's really going to hinder them, however, is when you take it out of the dock.
Correct.
They say that it is going to run at 720p, and I believe they said low. So it's not even on the high end of 720p, so that's a pretty drastic difference. Now, granted, on a smaller screen, you might not be able to notice the difference as much.
I can see that. Is it a deal breaker for me? No. Does Nintendo probably have the reasons for doing it? Yeah. So I can see it. What's the Wii U running on right now?
I think the Wii U's 1080 as well. But I think
same thing with the lower screen?
I think it's I believe it's 720 lower, maybe even less than that, to be honest.
Because as it is, the Wii U, the screen at the bottom, just so nice with its colors. I never had an issue with the way the Wii U's running. To be honest, I've never had a frame rate issue on the Wii U at all. So no worries from Nintendo on that aspect.
Oh, it's actually the Wii U gamepad is only, it says it's 158 ppi for the display, which I'm gonna assume the resolution is. Where's the resolution at for this? 720.
Yeah, so I can't see it being an issue. Nintendo knows how to make pretty games.
I give Nintendo that. They know how to work within the limitations of their consoles, because the Wii U is obviously the underpowered console this generation. And so that I don't have a problem with. My curiosity, however, is when you're making a game that has to go from 1080 to 720, Nintendo might get how that's going to work. But what about third party? What are they going to do with, all these other great games that are coming out, like the next Battlefield? DICE has DICE really pushes their engine to make their games look great. Battlefield 1 looks so realistic.
Yeah. I can see that, and the way it is with people, their realism is what they're always looking for in games. But I feel like if a developer takes their time and really focuses on, I feel like as long as you have a developer with two different teams, one working with the Switch and one working with the other companies, as long as you focus on the Switch, you'll have something special. Maybe a whole new, different, unique kind of game.
Yeah,
on it.
Maybe. I'm just really, this is really Nintendo's last shot. And I think they really need to get it. It needs to be hit out of the park, and I'm really rooting for Nintendo, don't get me wrong. I don't want people throughout this whole podcast, when they hear me being the negative Nancy about things, being like, this guy wants Nintendo to fail! It's like, no, I don't. I really want them to succeed, but Nintendo has a lot of bad habits.
Nintendo is like an old grandparents. They're stuck in their ways. They don't want to hear anything that might help them or help them.
Afraid of the internet.
Yeah, they know what works, and they're like, listen, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're doing. It all depends. You're always going to have your diehard fans. I'm a diehard fan. I'm going to buy it. Will other people pick up on the system? It's all about how third party responds. If there isn't third party support, no matter how great the system is, it's going to fail.
I definitely think we're past that point where a lot of people want multiple systems in their house. You and me, obviously, we don't care. I'm going to get my Nintendo for the Nintendo games, even if that's all that's on there. But I think a lot of people, what they want is they want to buy a box and they want to get as many games out of it as they can.
Correct.
And that's where the Wii U kind of fell short. They didn't get a lot of the games that came out.
Right.
You had to wait 6 months sometimes before you got another game for the Wii U.
As much as I love my Wii U, and I do, I love the Wii U, but I haven't probably bought a game in a year for it.
Yeah.
Star Fox. What was that? Last October it came out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So, I definitely think Nintendo needs to work on that. And that's where it all comes down to. Are they going to have these games, and can they show people, sure, it's cool that I can take this handheld with me wherever I go, for however long. They haven't released how long the battery life's going to be. A lot of people are speculating 3 to 5 hours.
I still can't believe it. I feel like Nintendo at least give you a good 6 hours out of it, but we'll see.
If you get 6, that'd be great. Obviously, depending on the application you run is going to depend on the actual battery life.
Correct.
Like if you're running...
There it is again.
You jerk!
My question is it going to be like the Wii U, where the more you use your gamepad, the more the battery life drains on it? So, for example, when I first bought the Wii U, I got a good 6, 7, 8 hours out of the gamepad. I can barely get 3 out of it now without it dying on me midway through the game.
I completely agree, especially because the more something charges, usually, the battery slightly depletes
Correct.
over time. And if this is a home console where it's sitting in the dock most of the time, it means most of the time it's getting a charge running to it. So I wonder if that's really going to hurt the battery, and if at some point you're going to unplug it from it, it's just going to die.
Yeah.
There are laptops that happens to.
Yeah. Was Nintendo surprise everybody? Yeah. And to go back to the specs, I know it's been 5 minutes, but like I said, I'm tired, so my brain is going up. Out of the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, which was the weakest system? It came to specs.
PS2.
PS2.
And it was the best selling.
Which
is why they've also always said the strongest system has usually never been the best selling until the PS4. This generation was the first generation that the strongest system is also the best selling system.
Right. So when it comes to, sometimes you just got to get that leg up, and one of the big advantages I have is they're releasing their first next-gen system, and this actually feels like in a long time a next-gen from Nintendo. It doesn't feel like a step up from what they were doing. It feels like a giant leap.
I agree.
From what they were doing.
I think the hard part is you have to market it to people so they understand exactly what it is. And I think Nintendo's trying their best, but I think when you look at the advertisements, it really shows more people on the go with it. So I think a lot of people are thinking that this is a handheld that you can hook up to your TV, when really it's the other way around. It's a home console
that you can bring on the go with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. What I really feel like they need to do is Sony it up, man. Get a bunch of properties that is going to release games for you, and show all them on your system in the trailer. So one of the things that always moves me about Sony or Microsoft is their third-party support and their main title series, and those nice long-winded trailers where it goes from game to game, and you can see how much you can play on that. That's what I need to see from Nintendo.
Yeah, I agree. Nintendo definitely needs, and even more than showing me that I have something I can take on the go, I need to know, are there going to be games for it?
How do you feel about a March release for it?
March makes sense to me. Usually you want to release it during the holidays, but I think because of Nintendo, they needed to get away from the Pro and the Slim. Both of those consoles do 4K. The Switch isn't going to do 4K. So I think you really need to make sure you're away from it, and you need to make sure that you're in an area where that's going to be the center of attention. There's nothing else. And January, February is kind of, and March have kind of been like the new next holiday. You get big titles during those months now. We're getting Horizon Zero Dawn, but they're usually new IPs because people after the holidays have that extra cash that they're willing to throw at these risky games. And usually these games, not only are they good, but they do well because of it.
Correct. And you got a lot of times, your main titles are always going to get scooped up during the holidays. And as funny as it sounds, you got that month of things getting beat, and they want something new, and that's that perfect time to release something.
I agree, because December is kind of that die period for games. Usually November's the very end, and then you have December. People either beat their games or they played enough of them that maybe they want something else to get some flavor going. So I think the Switch coming out in March is very smart on Nintendo's part. However, I do not think it is smart to wait until January to give everyone the information about the Switch.
Correct, with it being so close to release. And March is right around the corner. You know what I mean?
So, it is.
And there's not even a reserve SKU up for it. You know what I mean? So it's like, is Nintendo going to do what they always do and not release enough? Are they going to, the only time they had enough to meet the demand was the Wii U because it didn't sell. So it's like...
Yeah, and actually I heard that they actually were trying to make that a scarce product too, but it just didn't sell. So they couldn't even...
And I understand what Nintendo does because I remember the excitement I felt about getting a Wii. You know what I mean? I waited in line. I got the Wii, I got Legend of Zelda with it, I got Super Monkey Ball, because why not? It was one of the release titles for it. And the fact that I was one of the only people that got it made it so much more special. Looking back now, the Wii wasn't that great of a system, but damn, it felt like it at the time, because everybody wanted it. I feel like Nintendo keeps trying to get that magic back, you know what I mean? And it happened for a lot of their systems. DS was really, really well selling, was sold out everywhere. My worries is if they try to do that, then you're not spreading that nice word about it. You know what I mean? You can't be excited for something you can't get.
That's also true, but Nintendo also likes to play off the scarcity of. They like it to make it so that there's such high demand with low products, so that when you see it, even if you won't question it, you won't be like, you know what, that's going to be there later. Maybe I'll come back for it. It's no. That's hard to find. I'm going to buy it, and if I don't want it, I'm going to find someone else who does.
I feel like Nintendo does that a lot because Nintendo is one of those.
Oh, they've been doing it since the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and they don't release a lot of games. Trust me, I looked everywhere for Mario Maker for DS this Christmas, and it was nowhere.
Yeah.
You probably set forward to this area.
But that's also why Nintendo's games hold their value. They're like the only games that when you go to GameStop, you still almost get your full price back.
Correct.
Whereas anything else that just came out and they're offering you like $20.
Also, people hold on to their Nintendo games, man. I tell you this, one, they're good, but the replay value in Nintendo games is unbelievable. Because tell me how you felt when you got all the stars in Mario 64. You felt accomplished, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You finished the game, but you didn't finish the game. You had to go through. That's every Nintendo game, I feel like.
100% agree. Another thing I think that the Switch they really need to do with the Switch in January, and I think that because they're doing this in January might hurt it. They need to come out with all the information, even the bad. If the battery life is 3 hours, then you need to tell us that, because I think you need to tell the people sooner so that they forget by March. And I think by
Not
doing
only
it
that, you don't want it coming up in reviews immediately for it.
I agree.
Flash ROM cartridges, just like the 3DS. What do you think? I think they're even smaller than the 3DS.
So I like the idea of cartridges. One, it limits moving parts. I don't want to hear a disc spinning while I'm carrying it around. Get the old cartridge out. However, I am a digital guy. I don't like carrying media around anymore.
Yes,
and although these cartridges are better to carry than a disc, I still don't want to have to carry a bunch of cartridges around if I want to switch games. And that's another thing Nintendo hasn't told us, memory size and what kind of memory cards it's going to use.
Correct. Besides the GameCube, everything's had an internal system, and even the Wii U, they apologize for the memory cards, and they promise it's always internal memory. With that being said, Nintendo's not always had the biggest internal memory. And if you go crazy downloading like you want to on Nintendo systems, because you got such, a want to play these old games, it's going to fill it up. I'm excited about the cartridges, but like you, I agree. With a system like that, it's just so much more fun to download. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To use my Vita for an example, I went crazy buying hard disk copies, and now I got to carry a case around with me. where the 3 games I downloaded for it, they're always there with me.
Yeah, and it's just so super convenient when you're playing a game and you're like, you know what, I don't really want to play this anymore. I want to play something else. And you can just go to the main menu and just go right to it. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about switching a cartridge and all this other junk. Or losing cartridges. By carrying around, you're also running into that risk. It's a much smaller thing than a disc, so you have that chance of it sliding out of your bag. Or
the one thing I am excited for with cartridges, that means load times are going to get extremely cut down.
Yeah, load times are going to be great.
Yes, which on the go system is a great thing. You know what I mean? No.
The less time I have to sit there and focus on the rest of the world, the better.
So I am excited for the Flash round. I think it's a neat idea, and it's something to make them stand out. Plus, I think that nostalgia is going to be back for a lot of people that stepped away from games. When they hear that they're using cartridges again, you know what I mean? Oh, what system's doing that? Oh, Nintendo released something new? I want to talk about a rumor we both heard, and we're kind of hoping that this is going to be a mother console. Anything you could ever play on Nintendo, you can get on this console.
I agree.
How true do you think this is?
I'm going to say I think it has the potential to be very true because the Joy-Cons definitely look like they could be the Wii Remote as well as the Nunchuck. At the same time, it also seems weird to me. I think it's going to be extremely hard to do Wii U games. Anything that you have to use the pad and look at the television screen, you can't.
Right.
Because technically you can't take that dock. You can't undock it without it coming undone.
Yep.
So unless they remake the Wii U games to work without the second screen functionality, which
is almost an impossibility.
And well, also not many of them even use the second screen. It's only a very select few, but you would still have to do that. Honestly, even if they just went up to GameCube, I would be happy.
I would like the GameCube.
I heard that that's a rumor, and if they at least can get me up to GameCube, from Nintendo to GameCube, I'll be super stoked.
I agree. Well, I'd be disappointed because there were some solid games for the Wii. Super Mario Galaxies, Twilight Princess, they're just really solid games. So yeah, we'll be a little disappointed. But yeah, up to the GameCube I'm good. Because then Super Mario Sunshine's on there. Wind Waker's on there. Beautiful Joe.
Love Beautiful Joe. But that would be up to Capcom, unfortunately. Not Nintendo.
You'd be the weird one if you didn't love it.
That's true.
I feel like Nintendo doesn't really have that much trouble because look at the Nintendo Marketplace now. I can get all the Mega Mans on there.
That's true.
I can get Sonic the Hedgehogs.
But I really feel like I don't want to stay on this, but I think Capcom has a bad rep of not supporting their characters. We still don't have another Mega Man game. We don't have any Musha, and we're not probably getting another Beautiful Joe. That could be a topic for another time, but I think obviously Nintendo would probably have to get the okay from these companies to put their games up there, and I would love to see Beautiful Joe up there though. Even
if they put their main games on there, they're just Nintendo.
I'm gonna buy them again.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine.
It doesn't matter.
I literally own Link to a Past on every Nintendo system I probably have ever owned. And you could literally come up to me right now and sell me another disc version of it, and I'd buy it. I have it downloaded.
Which leads us to our next problem, though, as well, in my opinion, with this system and Nintendo. And I really think they can fix it with this. They need to make it that my purchases are account linked, not system linked. As much as I like throwing my money at Nintendo, I think it's a bit ridiculous that I've had to buy Super Metroid 5 times.
Yes.
A Link to the Past, as you even said. 5 plus times.
Especially when, here's why it's ridiculous in my opinion, and I'm absolutely asking you to share your opinion afterwards, but the people that are buying them games over and over are your core fan base. Reward them every once in a while. You share that story that breaks my heart every time, that you traded in your DS with games that you had downloaded on it and couldn't get them back because it was connected to that DS and not your account.
Yeah, when I first got my 3DS, I was a part of the Ambassador program because then they lowered the price. So I had Minish Cap on there, I had Metroid on there, and when I traded it in, because I wanted the Fire Emblem one that was blue at the time, I was like, oh cool, I'm just going to re-download my games. Went to the shop to try to find them, couldn't find them, called Nintendo, they were like, oh, you had to keep your 3DS and do a remote transfer. I was like, what? What year is this? Because my PS3, everything is account linked. Like, right. I can buy another PS3. What if your 3DS got stolen?
Yeah.
Not only did they just steal your system, but they stole every game you ever bought for it. And like that's the nice thing about my PS4. I went digital with it. If someone takes my PS4, it's like, yeah, it sucks, but I still keep all my games regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just from the little things that Sony does with the accounts, I downloaded a few Vita games I can play right on my PS4. You know what I mean? Sharing accounts, and let's hope Nintendo can start doing stuff like that. That's just a pat on the back.
I definitely think Nintendo needs to grow up a little when it comes to that, and I think definitely with the design of the Switch, it doesn't look like a kids game system.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's a lot.
Definitely looks like it's for adults.
Yeah. I think the problem with Nintendo is they need that nice balance. You need kids asking mom and daddy for this, but you also need adults going, I don't feel so weird buying this. Because at the end of the day, I don't care what people think. But, you know what I mean? I'm going to be a little more comfortable buying a PS4 in a store than a Wii U.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I get the new Mario Brothers of that? By the way, this is for me. That's right.
Yeah. What do you think of the UI? Do you think the user interface when we turn on the Switch needs to look more adult and clean, like maybe the PS4? Or do you think it can stay to that, like Wii, where it looks like these weird shapes and pop-ups?
I would like it to be a little more clean, a little more eloquent.
Yeah, I really like the PS4 one, and I think if they even did something similar to it, obviously Nintendo's going to do their own thing.
Yeah.
But even something like that would be great.
I feel like find your middle ground. I feel like the GameCube had a perfect opening. It was right there in the middle. I felt like both. If you were a kid, you got excited. As an adult, you were like, you know what? I'm ready to go on this adventure.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject, so they started development on this in 2014.
Yeah, it leaves only basically 2 years.
Correct. Now, there's two things you can take out of it. It's getting released in early 2017. So like you said, it's only 2 years of development. Which also means 2014, they were supposed to be in their prime with the Wii U.
Yes.
And that means by that point, they had given up on the Wii U. Right choice? Or should they have given a little more time?
I'm going to say right choice because third party gave up on the Wii U.
Really quickly.
But I think when you give up on your own product as well, much like Sony did with the Vita, it makes consumers give up on you. You burned a lot of people with the Wii U. Although you came out with great games, now when I buy that Switch, I'm going to question myself. Am I going to be getting games consistently, or am I going to have these long gaps where I have nothing?
It's the simple things too. I remember being so disappointed because I'm a wrestling fan. We know this. You're not. That's okay. But wrestling was releasing, I want to say 2K13, 2K12, and it's just not coming out for the Wii U because it didn't sell well on the Wii. And I was extremely disappointed because at the time the Wii U was the only system I owned and I wanted a wrestling game. I felt that was very unfair, but I could understand. Nintendo really didn't support their third party. And they don't make systems easy to develop for either.
They do not. And I definitely think that for third party to want to support Nintendo, Nintendo first has to prove that they can support themselves.
Correct.
I think it's really hard for someone to want to buy a unit without enough games coming out for it. And so it's just, it's a weird spot where, once again, if Nintendo doesn't prove that they're going to consistently come out with these games, maybe that's where we didn't get a Metroid for the Wii U. Maybe that's why we didn't get some of these great titles like Fire Emblem made perfect sense for me to make a console Fire Emblem for the Wii U. I could do all my tactical stuff on the gamepad while it happens up on the screen in this really cool 1080p like HD. But they never did it, and I'm curious if that's because they were like, you know what, let's save these big titles just for our next system. This thing's dead. Let's let it sink.
Yeah.
And let's just rise up the next one.
Yeah, that does make sense. That brings me to our next point, and I think this is very important. Nintendo says they're still supporting the 3DS, but they're also saying that the Switch is going to be their core system, what they're focusing on. What does that mean? I'm confused. If this, at the end of the day, Nintendo can say what they want about the Wii U, but the 3DS was always their core system. It's what they focused on.
Yes. It's what made them money.
Yes, what they threw in their face. And yeah, that's their baby. That's what makes money. Everybody has a 3DS. Everybody has a 3DS.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm pretty sure my mom has a 3DS.
When Pokemon just came out, everyone who even got rid of a 3DS rebought one for Pokemon. So
I'm pretty sure you'll open a closet somewhere in this house and like 4 will fall out because 3DSs are everywhere. They're not too expensive. They're
Yeah.
they're a nice solid system. They re-release it and you'll buy it again. That's the worst.
I definitely think it means Nintendo's going to support the 3DS throughout 2017. I think after 2017 they're going to do to the 3DS what they did with the Wii U and kill it. I think it's going to be done. Because they really need to push the Switch as a handheld. And by you releasing games on both, that means you're making the handheld market that owns the 3DS still have a reason to keep their 3DS over buying that Switch.
I can agree. What I think it means, and maybe I'm crazy, maybe it's the lack of sleep. I think the Switch is going to have your nice third-party support. You have your more serious titles for the Switch.
Okay.
And your 3DS is going to continue to get things like Metroid, Federation Force, and Kirby with the Big Mac robots. The ones that nobody really asked for, but they're going to still sell.
Okay.
Versus the ones we really do want on the Switch. So I feel like that way Nintendo feels like we still got to kind of own both.
I can see that happening as well. I can see Nintendo kind of treating the 3DS, 2DS family as more of a, all right, well, if you own one, here's some stuff for you, but we're not really putting too much time into it.
Right.
Whereas our main focus and our big stuff is going to be over here on the Switch, which will still make people want to do both, and it'll probably make people double dip in some games too. You release a 2D Metroid for the 2 or 3DS, and then you release like another Metroid Prime on, the Switch.
Yes.
I'd buy both.
What would be neat about that too is you could always do a continuous story, but you can play them separate and get a story, or get one continuous story for both. I always love that. I always have. You know what I mean? Where you get the full story by playing it multiple times in different systems. I always think it's a neat idea.
That'd be pretty neat.
So we got the lineup of games that they announced so far. First one on the list, which everybody is excited for, is Just Dance 2017.
I don't even know how that's going to work. Now, see, this is also why I think it can have Wii support. Because clearly, in order for it to work, it has to have some sort of sensor to sense your arms and stuff moving. And clearly, the Joy-Cons, I believe that's what they're called, the little detachable things that look like Wii remotes, are going to have motion sensors in them. So, I'm assuming that if it can do Just Dance, it probably can do the Wii games too.
I don't know, because the Just Dance for the Wii U uses your phone.
Really?
And so does the PlayStation 4 version, so... it's not required or anything like that, it just picks up your phone.
Huh.
Now, the one for the Wii U, you can use the Wii remotes, or you can use your phone. But yeah, the phone is definitely an option.
Oh, man.
So, it all depends. I think Just Dance is going to do well for it. Everybody loves the Just Dance games.
Okay.
I've never been big on them because I don't need a game to teach me how to dance.
I think the Just Dance is clearly for the kid audience. I think kids and
You just lost my wife. She was listening up to this point. She's
and families really like
much better
Just Dance. But I definitely think that that's more of a party game. So they're gonna pull in, the big families with that.
Yes. I definitely think they're party games. I think they consistently sell well. They're easy games to produce too. Change the lineup of music, throw it out, and people love it. Next one I'm excited for, and as of last podcast I found out you're not so excited for, is Project Sonic 2017.
Yes.
This is considered a sequel to Sonic Generations, which many would say is the best Sonic game we've had in 10 years.
Okay.
For anybody who hasn't played Sonic Generations, you got to play as the Sega version of Sonic from the 90s, and then the modern version of Sonic. This one's got another Sonic joining, which most likely is going to be Boom, which, grab your riot gear now and be upset because nobody likes Boom. But it's definitely an announced game for Switch, and I think that is a very solid title because how well Generation sold and how well it was reviews-wise. So following up to a sequel with that, I think is a really good idea. And being a launch title for the Switch is another great idea because you're going to get people that want a sequel to that game pulled in. Because a lot of them know, but it's something.
I'm not a big Sonic fan.
I know.
I'm slowly finding more of you guys.
Yes.
I didn't think there were that many of you.
No.
But apparently there are. And Sonic's not something that sells me. I always considered Sonic to be, and don't get me wrong, I know both can coexist and both can be good, but I always considered Sonic to be the bad Mario. Like whenever I was
Discount Mario.
Whenever I was in
the
school,
Kmart Mario.
Yeah. Whenever I was in school, in elementary school, and someone was like, "Oh, I have a Sega and I play Sonic," it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have a Nintendo and I play Mario." Ugh.
I think Sonic is something special to everybody else because I feel like Sonic defined who you were as a kid, and so did Mario. You had your split, and you had your kids that thought you were super quick and super cool. You had your Sega, you had your Sonic. You had the other kids that might have done well in school. They played Mario. I was always a bigger Sonic fan. As much as I respect what the plumber's done for this industry, I was always a big Sonic fan. And to be honest, he has such a good lore and a good background story. It upsets me how much they just haven't respected the franchise. So when a game like Generations came along, it was actually pretty solid and pretty good. And one of the first games they announced for the Switch is a sequel to it. I'm super excited. Enough that I haven't seen anything in it but a minute trailer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's enough to sell me. So, but I can respect your opinion.
Thank you.
I still hope and pray one day you give Sonic a chance.
Maybe the blue guy will come around on me.
Probably not.
No, probably.
He'll most likely just run off stage in Super Smash Brothers because that's what he does. Next one is Dragon Quest. They announced for it.
This one I'm super excited for. I love the Dragon Quest series. I love RPGs. So I'm really excited for this. This to me also really targets the Japanese market because those Japanese love Dragon Quest. Americans have really been trying to show their support for Dragon Quest because a lot of Americans have been complaining that we don't get some of the Dragon Quest games. But it's hard for Square to be like, "Oh, well, we'll give these to you if you buy them," but Americans just don't seem to be buying them. So I'm really hoping we're getting this one. It's going to be 11. And I really hope that we show Square that we deserve to be getting these games as well.
It gives me hope. Not that I'm a big Dragon Quest fan, and not that I'm saying they're bad games. Just never my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
With this abstract game coming out on it, gives me hope that we're going to see other RPGs coming out for it that you'd be surprised on. I still have always said I wanted a console version of Pokemon in some capacity.
Oh, well, that's definitely probably going to happen.
And I would love to see that, and you know what I mean? It would be super fun to see. You don't have to give me a sequel to Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross, but something in that universe I'd be ecstatic about. So this is giving me hope. And I think we're still all waiting for another sequel to Earthbound.
I will also say this, out of what we've said so far of the three, Dragon Quest to me is also the one that sounds the most promising for the Switch getting third-party support. Nintendo has always gotten its Sonic games. It's always gotten Just Dance. This is a Square RPG, and you know, if Square's going to support it, that's awesome. Maybe then you'll get your Final Fantasies on it.
Yes.
You'll get some Tomb Raiders on it.
Well, be honest, I'm hoping that we get some Final Fantasies because, in my opinion, some of the best Final Fantasy games were exclusive to Nintendo systems.
Oh, yeah.
What was the one that came out for the Wii? Crystals?
Yes, Crystal Chronicles.
Crystal Chronicles.
Oh, wait, for the Wii?
Yeah,
you're talking GameCube. GameCube was Crystal Chronicles.
Solid game, man. Super good.
Where you got to play as the Lalafell, the little onion kids.
Yep. Solid game, though, man. And
I can agree with that.
That's something I always kind of liked about Nintendo, too, was their exclusive games for well-known franchises. Like, hey, you want to play a cool game that's only on our system? Here it is.
So I'm really hoping that with Dragon Quest, that we see more following.
Then we got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is, let's call it the system seller. It's what people are looking forward to.
Agreed. But apparently it is not a launch title. Apparently they're releasing it a couple months after. Which to me means people might hold off on buying it until...
Which is 100% what means that people are hold off. Stupid idea, but...
100% agree.
Don't release it until it's ready. And to be honest, what's the worst Zelda I think that's ever came out? In my opinion, it was Skyward Sword, and even that was a solid game, man. So
Shigeru Miyamoto said once, "A delayed game is bad once. A rushed game is bad forever."
correct.
So I'd much rather them take their time and make sure that it's going to run really well on the Switch and really push those units.
What do we know about Breath of the Wild yet? It's a Zelda game, so you know it's solid.
Yes.
Um,
Sorry.
on you today, buddy. No.
That was me this time.
Well, that's all we pretty much know about it. They said it's a unique story. They say it's brand new. You see a lot to do with armors and different suits, and this give you different abilities. Looks like you had to cook, hunt in this one.
They definitely played Skyrim.
It's open world and it looks fantastic. Do I think it's a twist like Nintendo likes to throw out? Yes, I think it's a sequel to another Zelda game, and they just haven't announced it yet. But I'm still super excited about it.
100%. I'm right there with you as well.
And to be honest, I haven't. It's getting me Wind Waker excited. And for those who haven't played Wind Waker, well, you don't understand what that means. But if you ever go on that epic journey of Wind Waker, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
And if you're one of those people that didn't play it because of the art style, you're a fool.
Yes. Believe it or not, I will always say Wind Waker, and as cheesy as it sounds, it changed my life. I didn't understand that much beauty, that much detail, and that much time could be thrown into a video game. And yeah, you can love Ocarina of Time for the same reasons or anything else, but Wind Waker was beautiful, journey to the end.
And the thing that I found so amazing was that whole ocean, no load screens.
Correct.
You just surf that whole thing, and it was on the GameCube.
Yes.
And now we have games where I can't take like 20 feet without a load screen. And I'm like, what is going on?
That's how I'm feeling about Breath of the Wild. I look at it and I keep feeling like I'm getting pulled into that world with every trailer, and it's really rare for me to, you text me all the time, hey, this trailer just dropped, and usually I'll look at it when I can, but anytime you send me anything about Breath of the Wild or I hear anything, I don't care what I'm doing, I watch that immediately just because I'm that excited about this game.
I think your fanboy showing.
It is. It's bad. I do love my Legend of Zelda. It is one of my favorite franchises. I think anybody knows that about me.
And I think that that's not the question when it comes to the Switch. Obviously, we know it's going to have great games from Nintendo, but as we also know, Nintendo has a really bad history of third party.
Yes.
What do you think they're going to do for the Switch to switch this up? Because, I mean, when the Nintendo was out, and even the Super Nintendo for third party, they were like, hey, you can only release X number of games per company, to the point where, I don't know if you remember, but Capcom ended up making a second company just so they could release games like the original Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So, ever since the Nintendo, third party has had a hard time with.
What I think needs to happen, and this is my honest opinion, I'm going to take it back to Super Nintendo. Midway goes to release their one of their best-selling games of all time, Mortal Kombat. Sega said, do whatever you gotta do, make this game for us. Nintendo gave them so many restrictions, and it did not sell at all on the Super Nintendo. So I think Nintendo needs to back off on that third parties to make the game they want to make.
They've always shot themselves in the foot. You had the game, N64 was really when it started. You had N64 that they still stuck with cartridges, while the Dreamcast, I believe, was out at that time, and the PlayStation went to disc media. Discs were cheaper to make, and it was easier to put games on disc because you could just use multiple discs, where it was a lot harder to put a game on multiple cartridges. We never saw that. So you had to fit a game on one cartridge, which was why games like Final Fantasy VII went to PlayStation instead of Nintendo.
Correct.
So then Nintendo gets smart, they make the GameCube. Console for gamers, no weird gimmicks, but these proprietary discs.
Right.
Instead of using a regular CD, Nintendo's like, we want these mini discs.
Yeah, and the thing they kept pushing was they were indestructible. And it was like, okay, I get that, that's a neat idea, but, I'm an adult.
Yes. And then once again, it put them in a bad spot because third party was like, all right, well, it's hard to fit these games on your tiny disc.
And then you're getting games that are multiple discs, or you're losing so much quality. I remember playing a Tony Hawk game on GameCube and then looking at it on the PS2 and Xbox. I'm like, wow, that's big drastic difference.
But the worst part was the GameCube was the strongest system of the three.
Yeah, Resident Evil, for example, it ran beautifully, man.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 0, one of the most gorgeous games at the time.
And then you have the Wii that had the motion gimmick, which sold the soccer moms. But then you ran into the problem of the hardcore gamers not really wanting anything.
So much interest in it, yeah. I knew of plenty of people that tried to make the Wii their main system. And the Wii did have third-party support at first, but then their games came so gimmicky. I remember Spider-Man 3, for an example. 360 and PlayStation 3 got the real version of that game. The one that released on the Wii, that was a kid's game. Okay, like, wiggle your hands to swim and all that. And for a hardcore gamer, they're not into that.
And then finally the Wii U, not only was their marketing a joke for it, but it was so underpowered compared to the PS4 and Xbox One, where
that you're getting all these old games on your next-gen console. Like, what was one of their launch titles? Batman Arkham City.
And you got Mass Effect 3, but not the first two.
Yeah, like, there was a lot of mistakes made for that. And the games ran beautiful on it, they did.
Yeah.
They also ran beautiful when they came out 2-3 years before that. So,
I definitely think Nintendo needs to, one, make their console easy to develop these games for, but also make sure these games can run well on their console.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be as beautiful as the PS4 and Xbox One. I don't expect that from Nintendo. I do expect to get almost as many games, though.
Yes, absolutely. They said that these were not officially announced, but we've seen them both running. It looked like a Super Mario game and a Mario Kart game. How important is it to get these two games out pretty close to launch?
I actually think the Mario game is going to be a launch title.
Yeah.
My bet is, and this is how you're going to sell this console, you bundle them.
Ooh.
I think if you bundle these two together, everyone's going to buy it. I buy a Switch for $300 and I get Mario.
Not bad, yeah.
Who wouldn't do that?
I can see that, yeah. Nintendo's pretty much always bundled together, except for the Wii U was the first one that came out by itself, wasn't it?
Yes, the Wii came with Nintendo Land if you bought the black one.
Yeah, so they're in there, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a very Nintendo thing to do. That would be pretty neat.
Usually they don't throw out such a big game, but I think Nintendo really needs to sell these units, and they said that they want to sell the Switch at a profit, so that means each Switch they sell, they're going to be making money. So you just if you throw a Mario game in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They make it do like you did with the Wii Sports, where not exactly make it feel like it is a bit of a tech demo to show what this system can do, but still make it a full game.
I agree. And I think for Mario Kart, you save it. I don't think
Holiday.
I don't think Nintendo needs to blow their load so fast. But I do think if they have enough games in the pipeline,
Christmas, man.
I'm sorry, but I do think before the holidays they space them out. It's like, all right, here's one game now. Here's a couple of third party. Here's our next game. 2 months down the road, even maybe a month. A couple third party. Next game, third party. You know what I mean? If they keep that flow going, I think Nintendo's in a good position. And like I said earlier, I think Nintendo was holding back on a lot of properties for this. So I think they have a lot of stuff in the works that we maybe don't even know about.
I can see that. I can respect it too. And then, like I said, Mario Kart's not coming out. And then, once again, we're going to repeat this and go home. This is the last thing we want to talk about. And we'll repeat it beforehand, but they need their third-party supports.
Yeah.
Companies that they need to have on their side to succeed. First one I'm throwing out is EA.
They definitely need EA. When they lost EA for the Wii U, I think it really hurt them. They lost sports games. They lost some RPGs, some shooters.
Right.
EA's a big company. Activision's another big one.
Yes.
Ubisoft usually tends to support Nintendo. I don't think they're going to have a problem there.
No.
Square seems on board so far.
Yes.
And Bethesda seems like they're liking the idea of the Switch. Whether or not there's something on there, we'll see. But
I can't imagine them not releasing at least Skyrim, especially with it coming out recently again, being released. I don't think it'd be too difficult to switch over. Switch over!
I see what you did there.
I didn't mean it either. That's
It's just so easy.
It's so easy to switch it up like that. There it is. That's my last one. That was a pretty positive note. You want to take it out with a negative?
Oh God, yeah. Assassin's Creed. Let's talk about this movie real quick.
Can I say my heart is broken?
I think a lot of people's are. A lot of people are riding on this movie to be great and kind of bring video game movies to the forefront.
Okay. With this being said, neither of us have seen it.
That's true.
We do know that sometimes Hollywood can be unfair and review a movie terrible, even though it might be something decent. And once again, if you liked Assassin's Creed, good for you. We're not trying to bash what we haven't seen. All we can address is what's come out about it already.
Yes.
Rotten Tomatoes, 20%.
Oh my God.
That's something that's come out. Not one character from the game showing up in the movie.
No, I definitely think that whoever wrote the game, the script for this, has never played an Assassin's Creed game and does not get what it is about those games that the fans love.
Yes.
By
the way, I got the Ezio collection for Christmas.
Pound it.
Happy holidays.
But yeah, I don't know how you get this wrong. This is a movie that out of all the video game movies you could have done, besides like more grounded in reality things like Splinter Cell and all, I thought this one was really going to hit it out of the park. They have so much source material.
So many time periods. People love their time period movies, and they love...
Timepieces are Oscars.
Yeah.
Oscar bait.
One of the things we talked about in the last podcast is a lot of the earlier talks was the movie was going to focus on modern time. And every review I watched, that is their huge complaint, that the movie focuses on modern time. I heard somebody say there's literally only 3 scenes that take place in the past. Unbelievable. It's like, it's insane. I heard the acting's incredible. Performances are incredible, but you don't go to see Assassin's Creed for, performance. You go to see, some fighting.
And some great assassinations.
Great assassinations and stuff. One of the things I knew I wasn't going to like right away was in the trailer, you see when he gets plugged into the Animus, he's actually standing up and doing the movements.
Yes.
And once I seen that in the trailer, I was talking to my wife about that. I was like, wow, that seems really silly. But, let me give it a chance. And then one of the things I've heard right away in the reviews is anytime there's an amazing fight scene in the past that cuts back and forth.
Yes.
Between...
To show him doing stuff to air.
Yes. I would love to be in these board meetings in Hollywood, so when somebody brings this idea up, I could be the one to be like, no? Why would we do that?
I also heard that because they try to keep it PG-13, they would cut away anytime the cool cut of the scene was about to happen, the assassination, or when a lot of blood was supposed to be there, they made sure that you only saw like a little puddle.
So, which is unfortunate. I feel like, stop it. You know what I mean? One of the things...
Why would you even make this movie PG-13? It's rated M for mature. You can't even buy the game unless you're 17.
That's video game movie 101, I guess. Because I remember, let's take it back, Max Payne. Remember Max Payne was coming out?
Yes.
So psyched about that movie. And I'll never forget it. I was talking to a friend, they're like, it's PG-13. I was like, no way, man. That game's a really rated M game. They're like, no, it's PG-13. And when I went to go see that movie, I was like, wow, that is such a watered down version of what that really is. So I'm not shocked that they did that because they want a bigger audience. They want more people to see it. My biggest shock is that you somehow messed this property up. Like, that's almost unbelievable to me. You know what I mean?
And I get that they want more people to see it. But how about if you made a good movie for the fans? Then we'd see it.
Yeah, and I'm not asking you to get in every detail of the game, but put the characters from the game in it. That's an idea. And focus on what makes the game great. And I feel like that's where every video game movie has failed so far.
I agree.
Don't focus on what makes them games great.
And I completely get it. It's hard to take an adaptation of something, a game that's 12 hours long, and turn it into a 2-hour movie. But at the same time, I think it's something that's... if you know the material well enough, there's a lot of fat you can trim from video games to make a great movie.
Correct.
And I just don't think companies get it.
My question is, and this is as simple as this: do you remember that Assassin's Creed where Desmond was on the cover? Oh, that's right. He's not on one of the covers because nobody cares about Desmond. Okay, I'm a lonely fan that does weekly podcasts in his basement. I can figure that out. You're telling me Hollywood couldn't? That's somebody really wrote the script and was like, you know what? We're making this video game movie. People that play the video game are to see it. Let's focus on the character that nobody cares about. Like who?
But he's not even Desmond in the movie.
And he's not even Desmond, but I understand this is a Desmond-like character. And I'm not saying Desmond's story wasn't interesting, but what made Desmond's story so interesting is the fact that he connected with these people from the past.
I agree.
The people from the past are what made that franchise. So I'm very disappointed. I didn't see Rogue One this month to see Assassin's Creed because I wanted to see one movie this month and I picked Assassin's Creed. And now I'm so disappointed. I'm not going to see either. I'm really hurt.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you said it wasn't doing well in the box office.
And yeah, it's not doing well in the box office. I seen one review that the gentleman said it's set up for a sequel, and I was reading online that they're ready. Wrote in the sequels and they're talking about, and the next one's supposed to take place during the Cold War. Which, once again, you remember that game that took place during the Cold War?
No.
It's because it doesn't exist. What? Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. It's gonna be really weird. Ezio. Okay, if you played any of the Assassin's Creed games, you played the Ezio games. And you know why you played them? Because they were amazing games. Why wouldn't you just take that story?
If they were going to do 3 movies, which that's what it sounds like they want to do, I don't know why you wouldn't just do the Ezio trilogy.
Yeah.
Pretend Altair didn't happen. Start at Ezio.
Or do flashbacks. You know,
yeah. That's what they even did in Ezio. He got his flashbacks to Altair.
And it reminds me a lot of the Resident Evil movies. The Resident Evil movies, or the Resident Evil games, are horror games with action elements sprinkled through, except for the last couple ones are all action games. Well, let's go back to the early games that made them success. They're horror games with a little bit of action sprinkled through. When this movie franchise came out, they were action movies with a bit of horror broken through every once in a while. So it's like, what do you take out of these games? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I don't understand. By this point, I think it's impossible to make a good video game movie. And the best one so far is Prince of Persia, which had white Jake Gyllenhaal playing the Prince of Persia. And that's the best I've seen so far. And why is that the best? Because at least it was the one that, to me, respected
the property.
The property as much as it did.
I can understand.
I didn't hate the movie. Didn't like it. But compared to Super Mario Brothers, Doom, anything else. I mean, what was it?
That first Final Fantasy movie that was in theaters.
Oh, Spirit Within. Let's not talk about that. House of the Dead.
Yeah. Silent Hill.
No. See, now you're getting me frustrated again.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and it now brings the question: are these?
They're never gonna end. I was thinking about it when we were discussing this podcast. Is this the end of video? No, because at the end of the day, they're cheap properties to buy up, and they're gonna still be able to do that, and they're still gonna pump it out. There's a Far Cry movie. You know that? There's a Far Cry movie that exists. It was straight to DVD. It was awful. It has a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know why you never heard of it? Because it was a cheap profit or a cheap property to buy up. They made a profit on it and they released a $3 movie. And that's what video game movies are going to be. They're going to be cheap, easy movies to make. My last hope, because Assassin's Creed was it, my last hope is this reboot of Tomb Raider that they've been talking about.
I have 2 things that I really think could do it. One, we know that there's going to be The Last of Us movie, and Neil Druckmann, the guy who wrote The Last of Us, is behind it. That gets me super excited about that. And then we have Tomb Raider, which is supposed to be based off of the new series for the games.
Correct.
Which I'm super excited about that. Both of those similar, and they also have potential to be really good. But I really don't know if they're even going to happen now. Like, what if these companies now saw how bad Assassin's Creed did and was like, you know what? We shouldn't do this.
Yeah, and I feel like hopefully I feel like they would have learned their lesson by now, and yet they still haven't seen, because they're still making the same mistakes they did when they made Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And that was at the end of the day taking something that was magic for a certain reason and putting their own twist and taking bits and pieces of what they thought people wanted to see versus respecting the property. And casting Dennis Hopper as King Koopa. Why? Why did you do it, Dennis Hopper? You were incredible. You were an Oscar winner. God rest your soul. But that's always going to be on your record, man.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
That's right. I think it goes without saying, and this is a little tidbit for everybody, the late, great Bob Hoskins that played Mario in the Mario Brothers movies didn't know until they were about to wrap up that he was shooting a video game movie. No idea.
Probably 100% agree.
And they asked him how he got through shooting this ridiculous movie. He didn't even know it was a video game movie, and he looked dead in the camera's face, waiting for him, and said, "Smashed." Me and John Leguizamo were smashed the entire time. And that's the quality movie that we continue to get.
Yeah. I really hope that, like we said, those other two properties aren't canceled. Hopefully they come out, just hit the ball out of the park, and then from here on out we can get these great video game movies. I really think all it takes is one. You get one, and then everyone's going to copy it. Look at superhero movies. Superhero movies were honestly mediocre until Iron Man. Iron Man.
I would say Batman Begins, but I can say.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, we can do Batman Begins as well. To me, the Batman movies have always been good.
I agree.
But I think Marvel buying when Iron Man came out and they established that this is going to be a universe.
Right.
That's when the superhero movies kind of got taken seriously and when they really blew up.
I agree. The only reason I was saying Batman is because Iron Man followed that Batman lore out where they focused on the character who was in the suit and all that. But I agree that Iron Man's what took it off when the comic book movies were considered a real...
Something that you could actually make money off
yes.
of, and something that should be taken seriously.
Where big actors are now taking comic book roles, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and some big actors want comic book roles.
Yes.
Like, they wait for Marvel and DC
Close is in Marvel movies, you know what I mean? Glenn Close. Lawrence Fishburne is in DC movies.
And I think that's what the video game industry needs for their movies. I think they need one really good one, and from there on, people will copy it or figure out what worked about it and just tweak it themselves.
Be honest though, I've watched many of these behind the scenes on a lot of these video game movies, and every director I've seen is like, oh, you know, I got this property and then I started playing the game and I did my research on it. What I need is a Christopher Nolan who was a fan before he made the movies. Same with Jon Favreau. Sorry, tired. Who made Iron Man, who was a fan before they made these movies. When you get a fan that's doing it, that respects it, maybe you're going to have a better film.
I agree.
So at the end of the day, we sit here and we think, after watching certain video game movies, we could do this better.
Yeah.
Most likely, we could do it better. Seeing some of the garbage they released, I feel like I could make a Tetris movie better than that.
That's actually being made.
I believe you. They've been talking about that movie for like 20 years, man.
Well, I guess we can wrap it up there.
Do you think so?
I think we pretty
Because I think we could go into the Tetris movie, man.
No, I think Tetris...
That's what everybody wants to talk about.
No, not me.
Alright, here's the pitch, though. It's a horror movie. They're stuck in this tomb. And every time they're about to get squished, the music is like real serious, like dun 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 dun, you know?
Or what if every time they think they're about to get squished, the row clears and they have to relive it until they're they live in anticipation of being squished, but the row constantly clears because it's Tetris? You
heard it first on the Enthusiast. So when this movie comes out, know they stole it from us.
Maybe we should patent it, get some royalties.
Probably not.
But that will be episode 4 of The Enthusiast. Sorry for my coughing. My throat's been bothering me. But thank you for listening. My name is Will Zabo, along with Jesse Nazario.
Yes. Once again, definitely hit a like. Share this video. Tell your friends. We also have so many other ways of contacting us. It's not even funny. Go down the list for us, Will.
You can get us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. We are now on SoundCloud for those of you who drive and want to listen to us while you're driving or at work. And we're on the YouTubes. So feel free, hit that like if you like it.
We're on there, buddy. The YouTubes.
The YouTubes. That's what the kids are calling it nowadays.
I guess I'm not a kid, sir.
Whatever.
I'm
doing what I can for the likes, Jesse.
I apologize, sir. I'm just trying to.
If you don't want to sell your soul, I will.
I'm trying to. I understand. All right, man. The YouTubes.
Anyway, it's going to wrap up the show. Thank you for listening. If you liked, hit that like. If you disliked, hit that dislike. Please give us a comment. Let us know what you think of the show. And you know what? Let us know if you like the Assassin's Creed movie.
Yes.
What you thought?
Leave a comment and tell us what you think about the Switch and how excited you are for it.
And we are out.
Oh, wait. One more thing. Merry Christmas and have a happy holiday.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't hear from us before New Year's, no, they will hear from us before
Yeah, we're definitely doing
Scratch that last part.
Just a heads up, though. We're going to be smashed.
We should get smashed for it.
Yes, we are.
All right. See you guys, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.